You know, we're here learning the stuff we're going to share with you. You might have heard it before, but you're not the same person you were that possibly when you heard whatever you hear again that you might have heard before. You don't hear with your ears and you don't see with your eyes. You hear and see with your brain. And what I do know is that your brain is different yesterday than today, and last week than today. So you've got so many more references and a whole different context for you to actually, when you collect the data, for you to give it meaning. And so there's no meaning, nothing in life has any meaning other than the meaning that you give it. We know that. And so when you have more references and more understandings and more experiences, when you experience stuff, you can give it a broader meaning. Even though it might be something experienced before, it now has a different meaning because you're different. How many people do you know, maybe yourself last year, found yourself doing things you didn't want to do, or doing things which was against who you were? Maybe you didn't know it in the beginning. You thought, I had to do it because this is how I'm going to move forward. But as you started moving forward down a specific pathway, you thought, hey, that's not you. I'm starting to burn out, or I'm not really being true to myself. And so you go in conflict and you start to lose your own integrity. You start to actually let yourself down. And the more you let yourself down, the more stuck in letting yourself down, you start to lose your own self-respect. You stop loving yourself, and if you're not going to love yourself, how do you expect other people to love you? So we go in a process of loving ourselves again, and the only way we love ourselves again is by committing to ourselves and sticking to our word. When we look in the mirror and say, how am I going to do this? Did I do that? You want to make sure you don't let yourself down. And that's how you get your passion again for life. And whatever you experienced, that was the symptom of who you were. The results that you experienced in your life last year were the symptom of who you were. So knowing that, the new results you want to get are going to be the symptom of who you choose to be. Now, it all sounds great. It's common sense. We know, we've learned all this stuff. But we've also learned that common sense is not always common practice, right? So how do we put things in common practice? It's the habits that we cultivate, right? So we're working on productivity today. And so I suppose you can ask yourself the question, if that was something you wanted to do and you got distracted and didn't do it, how did it happen? How can you become more productive to do the things that you want to do? If this is one of them, I don't know. And I mean, they're great questions, right? Awareness of your fear, of expressing your thoughts and feelings, and how do you get into that state for you to have those conversations that you're avoiding, or that interaction that you're avoiding, or you're choosing to move into that role model mindset and be the person that you need to be for someone that's important to you, your kids, your partner, your community, your clients, yourself when you look in the mirror. So let me ask you a question as we move into our next topic. Here's the question I want to ask you. What is most critical to consistent achievement and high performance? I mean, all habits are important, but when you think about what's most critical, and this is what Brendan did when he did the research, millions of people worldwide with the same training, with the same questions, and having a look at rating the specific activities that these people did, what was the one habit that consistently showed up as a key indicator for people to have consistent achievement and high performance? Not binge achievement, achieve, down again, achieve, down again. I mean, we're all probably good at that. Who's been a binge achiever in their life? I have. A high performer is a consistent achiever. We're not talking about hitting out at a park. We're just talking about you being consistent, you sticking to your own standard. So what is that? Another question. Which habit supercharges your long-term success, not short-term success? What's the habit we're going to be working with today? You guessed it. We've been talking about it, productivity. So how do we move the needle and turn up your productivity a couple of notches? That's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, I'm mentioning the word productivity, and some people might be thinking, geez, that's more of a businessy type of corporate type of word. Are we going to be talking about KPIs, key performance indicators, and if we're working in a business, how many calls I'm going to make, how many sales did I make, all that type of stuff. I mean, sure, they're KPIs in a business, but how do you measure the productivity for you in your personal life? Have you been productive with your health and wellness? Have you been productive with your relationships? Have you been productive with your own personal growth, your spirituality? How do you measure that activity, and are you getting most of, I suppose, the inputs? So why is productivity important? Out of all the habits, why is this probably one of the most important ones? Because whatever it means to you, and we're going to ask you some questions, when you're productive, you are moving. You're not in a stuck state. I mean, that's interesting, hey? The word stuck, we should get rid of our vocabulary. What does stuck mean? Is it possible to ever be stuck? It's as if things stop flowing. Things never stop flowing. You're never stuck. Things are still flowing through you. Life is flowing through you because of you. You know, a lot of people saying life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. Well, let's evolve that even more. Because you know when someone says life happens for me, it's like someone else is doing it for me? No. Life happens because of you. That's another way of looking at why it happens for you. So you can realize it's happening for you. So let's look at productivity. Our goal in this session, guys, is for you to understand what productivity really means for you and why it's important, and to have a discussion how you can improve it, whatever it means for you. So what is productivity? Let's give you a dictionary definition. Let's start with it. Oh, well, actually, what do you guys think? You tell me, what do you think productivity is? Who wants to put in the chat? Let's see some chat scroll happening here. Just type what you think productivity is. 1 word or 2 words or 3 words. Let's see what people are saying. And it's important for you to start typing and interact this way because, you know, that gets in neurology, right? It's a mind-body integration, mind-body learning when you're typing. Efficient use of time is saying, Jeff, okay, efficient use of time. Okay, well, how would that be measured? I like that, but how do you measure efficient use of time? Okay, outputs and inputs. I like what, so that's coming from an engineering background. I very like that very much. Thank you, Michael. Right? Organize and schedule tasks is saying Chantel. Achieving goals. Getting shit done is saying Erin. Yeah, that's all. You can probably define all that as productivity. I would agree with that. Magdalene's saying progress and possibility to improve. Okay, so if you've got a possibility to improve, there's also a possibility to, what's the opposite to improve? Is there an opposite to improve? Well, maybe it doesn't exist. We're always improving. So here's the thing, right? Law of polarity, we know it's a universal law. Based on the Kabbalion or the universal law, spiritual law, whatever you want to call it. Law of polarity says this. The moment you have a question, the moment you think a question, the moment you become aware of a problem, that question cannot exist within consciousness without its opposite, which is the solution which is present. The question cannot exist without the answer. And your problem cannot exist without a solution. So the mere fact that you're going through a problem, it only exists because its solution is present in consciousness as well. The solution's there. It's just that we're focusing on what we don't want, which is a problem. So again, confirmation bias of validating what that problem is. So law of polarity means, well, if we're going to improve, then there's an opposite. If we're going to increase, so we can also decrease. And again, that's as above, so below, law of correspondence or law of transmutation of energy, right? How, what we put out, we're going to get back in. So all those definitions I like, because that's our personal and experience of how we can be productive. Let's give you a dictionary definition. Let's have a look here. Productivity is commonly defined as a ratio between the output volume and the volume of inputs. Like Michael said, output and inputs. So I want you to think about it. I know it sounds technical, but we can maybe think outside the box with this, right? In other words, it measures how efficiently. So Jess said efficient use of time, all right? Well, time is a variable. We put certain inputs with our time. How do we know time is efficient? Based on the outputs, correct? We've got to measure the outputs from the input in the specific time that we've used. So in other words, it measures how efficiently production inputs such as labor and capital, if we're looking into business. What about such as love and compassion? A friendly ear to listen, such as a kind act. I mean, that's an input, isn't that right? That's something that we're doing, being used in the economy to produce a given level of output. So that's, you know, obviously a business definition, but, you know, it's a metaphor because inputs are love, inputs are kindness, inputs are compassion. And the outputs, if the output, the ratio between the output and the input, well, is greater, then obviously you're being productive. But if you're expressing love and compassion and the output is less than the input, what do you think's happening there? It's an interesting concept, isn't that right? Are you being productive with your love? Or maybe are you being productive with your love? Maybe that'll wake people up, I don't know. Are you being productive with your compassion? Are you being productive with how you spend your time? Ask yourself, why is it that you do that? What's the hidden agenda for you? What's the secondary gain? So what is productivity for you? Knowing this is what we just talked about, what's productivity for you? Is it any different now that you've got that awareness? Has it changed for you? Is it different for you? Who wants to put any other definition in the chat? Any other awareness? What is productivity now that we spoke about that? Because, you know, when you think about it, productivity is the gap between what we got from what we put in. That's interesting, eh? The bigger the gap, more productive. In the shorter time, more productive. What we get from what we put in. What's that sound like? If we look at life, a high chunk, life, our experience here, what we put in life is what we get. The gap between your results and who you are, that gap, are you living a productive, full life? Productivity doesn't need to mean sales or money or numbers. From a business, it wouldn't need that. But if your life was the business, how do you measure that? It's interesting, isn't it? Because you want to have a more holistic conversation with productivity. So let's ask you some questions now. And this will be a group discussion. Let me ask you this, and you can write these answers yourself on a piece of paper or type them in the chat, right? So Maya's going, how satisfied do I feel at the end of the day? Project, yeah, absolutely, yeah. How satisfied do you feel? If you're productive, you feel fulfilled. So the more productive you are, the more fulfillment. So that action leads to an intrinsic experience of a value and an emotion. So let me ask you these questions then. In the last 4 weeks, where would you rate your productivity, whatever you think productivity means for you, from 1 to 10? 1 being crap, 10 being out of the park. Rate your productivity. However you choose productivity to mean whatever it means. You're probably thinking about a specific area in your life. You've got a context in your mind. I didn't give you the context. But the context that you thought of is probably the one which is most important to you. So only you know the context. So interesting. What we're saying is you can be more productive so you get more outputs with relation to inputs in one area in your life as opposed to another area in life. So that's interesting. What would it be like if you can actually have the outputs that you want or that ratio to improve in all areas of your life? What would they mean for you? So how productive have you been when we asked you that question? Here's another question, because we're getting you to think about where you've been the last 4 weeks. And you know, where you've been the last 4 weeks is really where you've probably been the whole last year. And give you an awareness of where you are right now and what is that we need to change to move forward to where we want to go. So next question is, as you think of that score, guys, why are you at that number? Now, this is a self-reflecting exercise, isn't that right? So if you're in the business of making people feel better and help them transform and change their lives so they can reclaim their health, their wellness, their freedom and their control back, sounds like you're a change agent or a coach. Whether you're certified or not, you just do that, right? Suppose you're certified, you can charge them a certain amount of money and say, I'm a professional, right? Ask them the number. Where are you with your productivity? And why are you at that number? Here's the next question. Having answered, giving yourself the number and why you're that number, ask yourself this. What would you need to do that you know you should be doing to move the number up a few notches? What do you need to do that you know you should be doing? Because it's like health and wellness, right? You know when you're not being healthy. You know what you need to do. You just need to be challenged to do it. A wellness coach doesn't really tell you what to do. You know you need to do to be healthy, but you're not doing it. So my saying, cut the bullshit. So what you need to do that you know you should be doing to move the 7 to a 9 or the 5 to a 9 is cut the bullshit. So the question is, why aren't you doing more of that something? Because you know what it is. And you know why? You're not doing what you know you need to do and you should do. Productivity is not the problem, guys. We've been lied to. Alignment is the problem. Productivity is not the problem, alignment is. The only reason why you're not doing what you want to do, need to do, and should do is your identity is not aligned with those actions, which means your current version of who you are, your current identity, is not going to get you to where you want to go because your current identity is not doing the things that you know you should be doing. So if you're going to sit there and say, hey, let's get a planner, let's do this, let's do all these tools and tactics to be productive, but not change the operating system, which is you, you might do it for a little bit, and guess what? It doesn't work for me. You'll sabotage yourself. You know that, don't you? So what if you aligned with the things that you wanted and needed to do? How different would your results be? I want you to think about that. Think about why you're not aligned with those things. You're not aligned with those things. So I'm talking about myself. I can look back at the last year where we all went through crap, right? And we can take the transformational coaching thing. Oh, whatever doesn't kill you, heals you. It's all transformation. It's all for you to evolve your spirit. It's but shit when you go through it. We know that, right? But we do take the evolved approach. But hey, what doesn't? It's all preparation. Preparation was something else. And if you're here and you know you've got a higher calling, then you know you go what you need to go through in order for you to be able to serve. Now, when you connect to that, what have you connected to? You've connected to a why, a reason, a meaning, a purpose. A lot of people do things or say they need to do things and they don't know why they need to be doing them. They don't have an attachment to purpose greater than them. Oh, they've got a goal out there. I want to be a millionaire, I want to be financially free, or I want to be able to do this, I don't know. Buy a yacht and live in a yacht, perhaps. So you might want that. And that's okay. It's great to have those goals. But my question is, because it's important to have that, you need to set the line in the sand. We talked about that last time. My question is, who do you need to be in order to do the things you want and need to do? So if you had the $1 million in the bank because you were productive with your business, if you had a thriving clients coming in because you're productive with your marketing and you're consistent with your posting and everything else, if you had all that coming in, how would you feel is the question. Who would you be is the question. See, the achievement of what productivity gets you, it's extrinsic, correct? Productivity itself gives you an extrinsic reward, gets you the achievement of something which is measurable from a tangible perspective. Money in the bank, liabilities, awards, recognitions, likes. That's all extrinsic, correct? So you can set goals for that, and we become productive to achieve that. But I want you to understand, and I said this at the beginning, this was a big mind scramble doing some work with David Neagle. The goal that you're setting, guys, the extrinsic thing that you want to achieve, which is important to have, is the effect. It's the symptom. And interesting, in this world of personal growth, we get you to focus on the symptom. We get you to focus on the effect. It's important to know that's an effect, because when you take responsibility, you can say, I'm going to be at cause to create that effect. I'm going to be the cause of the symptom. So if that's the case, who do I need to be? What's the identity I need to take on board? What are my characteristics and values in order to do the things I want to do and need to do and should do to experience the symptom I want? Because if you don't do it, guess what? You'll get another symptom. Whatever happens, you'll get an effect. Whatever happens, you'll get a symptom. It's just that's interesting, the human condition, right? When we get things, symptoms or effects that we don't like, we point the finger, it was because of outside of us and other people and the environment. But when the effect is the things that we do want, we want the finger pointed to us that we're pretty good. Acknowledgement, love and recognition. So we want our cake and eat it too. Am I making any sense with that? Now, why does that happen is the question. It's interesting. Because do you think a baby's born, right? You imagine a baby's born. Baby comes out, starts crying, right? And, you know, as soon as the parents look at the baby, or the aunts and uncles come over and look at the baby, and they're going, oh, look at the baby. The baby's not going, oh, don't look at me, I've got a big nose. The baby's not going, oh, I'm so self-conscious, I think I've got fat cheeks, don't look at me. Baby doesn't say all that stuff. Baby's completely pure, doesn't have any limitations. What's the baby want? Love, connection. And so the baby's conditioned by the parents and the environment on the behavior it needs to do to get love and attention. Do you understand? So the baby, who's completely pure and an ultimate being of light, realizes, I can't be who I really am. I've got to be someone else to get love and attention. So we grow up doing what we think we need to do to get love and attention, because that's how we're conditioned by our parents, and we don't know who we really are. So my question is, who are you? Who the friggin' are you is the question. Because if we learn to be how we are right now you are how you learnt to be. Is that making sense, guys? In order to get love, certainty, significance, security, basic needs. So we don't know who we are. So productivity doesn't have the problem. Alignment is because we end up doing things that we think that's what we want. I need to find out that that's not me. It doesn't connect me to myself. Is this making sense? Because, you know, we want to look at a bigger, broader view on productivity and making it real tactical and, you know, more businessy. Let's look at it from a holistic and alignment perspective. So, and you've seen this slide before. How do we fit this in? What do you want in your life? I mean, this is the different areas, right? So what are the results that you want to get in your career, your family, your relationships, your personal growth, health, fitness, and spirituality? In order for you to get those results, in order for you to have that effect, that symptom, it implies that you need to do certain actions. That behavior, well, you want to be able to put certain inputs in to get certain outputs. Be productive with your family. Be productive with your relationships. Be productive with your personal growth. Productivity is not just a business thing. Productivity is how you measure the fulfillment of your life, guys. Wow. And so we know the logical levels of change. And so the environment is the results that you want. That's the symptom. You want to live in an environment of being financially free. You want to be in a happy, loving relationship with your kids or friends or whatever the case is. You want to be living by the beach. Just saying, there's what's happening outside. All right, so you're living by the beach. If that's the environment that you want, well, it happens because of your behavior. Now, your behavior is something you need to do. It's actions. Now, we can give you systems and tactics and tools and processes that could maybe squeeze more output out of your behavior, but ultimately, the behavior is a reflection of your capability and your skill set. And these type of trainings probably give you the training, the skill set, in order to be able to use certain hacks to get better results or a better output from the inputs that you put in. Meditation's an input. Going to the gym is an input. Eating healthily is an input. When you do those, what outputs do you expect? I was having a chat to someone last night, and it was interesting. We're just having a chat, and man, first time recently I've come across someone. It's like, well, why would I want to grow? So what's inspiring you? Well, I'm content. Okay, if you're content and you're comfortable, so is there something that you want to be able to grow into? What type of person you want to become? Well, why do I want to grow? I'm okay with who I am. That's pretty cool. Okay, so you're okay with you are, but that's it. What's next? And maybe sometimes that's why your circle of people change, because you change. You grow in a specific way, and the people around you aren't growing, right? Your skill set and capabilities come from your beliefs and stories you tell yourself. So what's the language you use? And that, of course, comes from your belief systems, your identity. So if you want to get certain results, which is a symptom of the environment, you need to do certain things, which is behavior. So you need to create certain habits. You need to be productive with the inputs to get the results you want. You need skills, capabilities, but you also need to be saying the right things to yourself and have the right identity to do that. Otherwise, you're not going to be doing it. And of course, we know it all comes from source. You are the source. How do you connect to the ultimate source? So the question that, this has come from training with Jim Fortin that really changed the way we look at how we work with people and all our trainings. Let's reverse engineer what it is that you need to do and how you can be productive by what it is that you want to achieve and who you need to become. So here's the question, right? And I know you've written it down before, but let's go through it. Who would I be and what would I do and how would I feel if I already had blank? Now you can fill in the blank, right? So who would I be, what would I do, and how would I feel if I already had blank? So blank is the extrinsic goal. Blank is a symptom. Blank is the effect, the thing that you want in life. But you understand that that is a result of your vibration, your frequency, your feeling. And the feeling is a result of what you do. So as Maya said, when you're productive and you're getting things done, you feel fulfilled. So if you're fulfilled, you're going to be attracting blank. You don't attract blank because of what you do. You attract blank because of what you feel. You attract blank because of your frequency, your vibration. That's the law of attraction. We know that, right? It's your frequency. How are you frequenting right now is the question. So what are the feelings you need to get into? So you need to do the things that give you the feelings. And the only reason you're not doing the things that give you the feelings, who would you be? Who do you need to be in order to do what you need to do to have that feeling? Now, it's important, that language, because when you say, if I already had blank, we trick the unconscious mind. The unconscious doesn't know the difference between fact and fiction. So if you say I already have it, it's going to say, well, here's the feeling that you would need to have and what you would need to do. So you start asking yourself and start writing down, what's the feeling we need to have, what do I need to do, and who I need to be? The number one destructive habit, guys, that's stopping us getting what we want and doing what we need to do is this. You know this. Number one destructive habit that sabotages you. The one habit that sabotages people from doing what they want and need to do to be productive is their attachment to who they currently are. So Maya said, cut the bullshit. The only way you can cut the bullshit is if you let the bullshit part of you go. For some reason, you're attached to the bullshit. I'm bullshit. I like how bullshit feels. I identify with bullshit. Bullshit's my story. I'm not going to get rid of bullshit. And that's all of us. We all have our bullshit story. Do you understand? It's our attachment to who we currently are. Your current identity is stopping you doing the things what you need to do. That's the reason why you're not productive. You're not aligned. You may be productive for a little bit. You could do it tactically and you get results. But these are the people that then get results and they get the money, they get the cars, they get the accolades, but it's a hollow victory. I mean, how many successful people do you know and have we known? People that you think, geez, they reached the pinnacle in their career, but they were wholly inside, they were depressed. Something was missing in their life, and some take their lives because of that. It's your attachment to who you currently are that we are not letting go. It's impossible to do what we want and need, to become who we want to be, to achieve the goals and aspirations that we have, guys, if you stay being who you are right now. So I've only got 2 words. Stop it. Stop the bullshit. Right? Stop it. You're more than that. You know that. The only reason you're not productive is because you're holding a lower standard of yourself. You're not connecting your inputs to things that are of meaning for you. You're not using that fuel to drive you, no matter what you need to do those inputs, to have that feeling of accomplishment at the end and feel great that you've done something, to have that feeling where you got that blank. Stop telling yourself the bullshit. Time to raise your standards. We're not the highest version of ourselves that we can imagine. We're the lowest version of ourselves that we're prepared to accept. Right now, people say, I'm the best version of me right now. Okay, well, can you be better? Well, I can. So if you can be better, then you're not the best right now. See, the one thing in the world that we all want, The one thing that we have in common, and this is how Brendan starts his coaching, it's bloody brilliant. It's a great landing page question, right? What's the one common thing in the world that we all want? We all want more. We all want more happiness, more fulfillment, more love, more money, more success. More of whatever is for you. It's like what we said before. For you to get to where you want to go, you need to do more of something. So we want more of something, which implies that if we want more of something, we're not doing that, and we're not getting it because we're not being the person that we need to be to have more. So on one level, we don't believe, are we worthy of more? I don't know. So we need to do all this inner work, right? The stuff that we've been doing. Why do you think COVID came along? Speed up the process. Because the age of Aquarius was around the corner. And so the universe said, hey, geez, these guys haven't got it yet. The age of Aquarius is hitting us. We want some evolved souls here. We've got to put them into the darkness so they can discover themselves. 1,000 years, 3,000 years, they're taking too much time. Let's give them a virus. Whether it was fact or fiction, whoever put it in place is the greatest transformational coach out there. Understand that you'll do nothing to achieve your dreams, but fight like hell to not breach your standards. In other words, you defend your limiting decisions. You argue for your limitations. Tony Robbins says you're either growing or dying. And I agree, because death is also growth, right? All times you're growing. So right now you're either growing your potential or growing your limitation. Choose. You're still growing. You can choose what you grow. Either you're growing your potential or growing your limitation. If you want to achieve your dreams and goals, you must turn them into irrefutable standards. Raise your standard. What standard do you want for your life and yourself?